Oops, sorry. Let me fade that in.
Oops, sorry. Oops, sorry. Those are the great first words of any podcast recording.
No, are we recording?
Lucius! Anyway.
Lucius!
Are we actually having the record button done? Make sure,
let me double check. And yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. That's awesome.
We're recording.
It is time for your weekly monkey business. I am your host. My name is Robespierre. Wait, no. Hang on.
Didn't he start the guillotine in France?
I don't know. I think so.
Robespierre.
French history is not my strong suit.
No, but you like history.
I do like history.
And it's something I knew that you didn't.
That's weird.
Whoa.
It's wild.
Probably because I'm helping students prep for the global exam this week.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's strange. My name is Raspberry.
Raspberry. We see Chris.
I think you're blueberry.
The names Chris and Billy and Tanya. Those are actually our nom de guerre. Those are our stage names. We're actually using our real names today. Is that what's happening? Is
Maybe.
that what we're doing here?
I don't know.
All right, so let's try this again.
I don't know
Hello,
what we're doing.
My name is Ralph. No. That's the gray hair on the backside of my head. Yes, I get
Hey,
it.
Ralphie boy.
Hey, Ralphie boy. Hey, Naughton, I know that you know that I know. I can't do that one.
I'm done. I'm done. I'm done for today.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead,
No.
Cher.
Can I ask,
Go.
are we going to actually start the podcast?
No.
Billy's recording all this.
Yeah.
This is all our intro.
All right, so that was producer Sherry. This is Chris. That is Tanya. Billy is over there. And
This is
it's,
what-
hello, Dolly. Well, hello, Dolly. It's so nice to see you in the studio again.
Yay, it's
And
me.
and her surly human sidekick Edwin is with us today. And Edwin's first time on the mic, so let's go gentle on Edwin. Yeah, right.
This is what happens when Sherry's not in the studio to
Seriously,
wrangle all the
I know
cats.
she's on the phone, so she can flip me off all she wants. I'm not seeing it. So,
The scowls will not be seen today.
oh no.
And Sherry, your spot is actually empty right now,
Yeah,
so
it's like
I can't
weird.
even actually
There's a
reach
large-
Chris to hit him.
There's a large 8-foot gap between me and Tanya right now. Actually, more like a 6-foot gap.
4?
6. So
I don't know. Put that leg back out there.
put that there we go. Okay, so we're in the studio, right? We got that covered.
We are?
And Sherry
We're
is
not
on the
in our
phone
right
today.
mind.
Oh yeah, well, that. I think people figured that out about a year and a half ago at this point.
That was it.
And Sherry's on the phone. Say hi, Sherry.
Hello.
And Chris and Alana are in the background with her.
Hello.
Hello. Hey, Monk, I heard somebody made the team.
Yay!
Yay! Our girl Alana made assessments on her derby team. What's that again? Oh, we got her and remind me again of the derby name.
Her derby
Monkey
name
Wench.
is Monkey Wench.
Monkey Wench. I love it. I freaking love it. It's awesome. All right.
I can
so
just imagine her with monkey ears on and then like one of those tight corsets from like medieval times.
Uh-huh.
A monkey wench.
okay, and
Don't forget the tail.
we're gonna
Yeah,
don't
and
forget
a
the tail. She needs a tail, something that the other people can grab onto and pull her to the floor with. Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay.
That was Dolly's idea,
Yeah.
not mine.
All right, so we're going to jump into business, and then we've got a fairly cool program coming up this afternoon. So everybody hang with us. First of all, we want to hit our sponsor shout-outs for our usual gang, Knox, Craft Cocktails and Comfort Foods in the Village Gate, and their wingmen, the Salinas. Not the Salinas. Salinas. The Salinas, like a family. First Print Comics over on Buffalo Road, The Great Escape Room, and Wibbly Wobbly, Timey Wimey. People who are actually bringing us Caitlin Blackwood, the young Amelia Pond from the Doctor Who's 11 series.
We now know who she is.
And Edwin now knows who Amelia Pond is. He's getting there. We started at Michelson, so he's finally he's in. Which episode was the last one you watched, Edwin?
I would have to say, wasn't the vampire ones. Because we're in the 11th Doctor now.
Oh, you're into the 11th?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the 11th Doctor now.
Vampires in Venice. There's a belter. I love
Oh,
that one.
we're up to Picasso.
Oh,
Oh, that's my favorite
That
episode.
is a good one. Vincent and the Doctor is a phenomenal episode. Absolutely tear-jerking,
Yeah, Van Gogh.
emotional
Said the
episode.
wrong
Awesome
I
stuff.
was about to say, like, wasn't it Van Gogh?
Yep.
name. Yeah.
And
Van Gogh, Picasso,
there you go. Van Gogh, Picasso, same thing.
Charles Schultz.
Charles Schultz. Yeah, see, there's a classic. And our Patreon shout-outs. We have new Patreons. We have people who have signed on lately.
One is my friend.
Roderick Fowler Jr. So
I
thank
call
you,
him
Roderick.
Reverend.
Reverend
Hey,
Roderick?
Reverend Rod.
Reverend Rod. Rev Rod. And is there a Reverend Roderick Sr.?
Yes.
Senior, is he still with us?
Yes.
Awesome sauce. So we're going to say hi to Senior anyway, too, just because it's fun. And Jennifer Green. Hi, Jennifer Green. And welcome aboard to our new patrons. We appreciate you guys signing on. Apple Podcast 5-star reviews. An easy way to support the show is to give us a 5-star review on iTunes Apple Podcast. 5-star reviews make it easier for others to find us and expand our listener base. Every 5-star review will be thanked on the air, and any comments or questions you leave will be read and answered. Upcoming events, we only have one, and it's a good one. It's coming up. It's the Winter Minicon FC3 Light, a little slice of what we do, and that'll be February 10th and 11th at the Grease Ridge Center Mall. With us at the mall, we're going to have a couple of Power Rangers, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
I don't remember the gentleman's
hold
names, I'm
on.
sorry to say, but Tanya's going to look that
I'm
up.
gonna look it up.
And I'm
Okay.
going to vamp like nobody's business to give her the time to do it. But we're going to have vendors there. We're going to have our costume contest. We're going to have the cosplay parade through the mall. And the FC3 folks will be there to answer questions, sell tickets to the big show in June, and answer any and all questions. As a matter of fact, we may
I'll
have...
be there.
Dolly's going to be there.
Mm-hmm. And
Which means Edwin's going to be there, whether he likes it or not.
and you have to make sure
My
to
shadow.
remind them that we are going to be in the theater wing again.
Yeah, we're going to be in the theater wing just like we were this past
Near
September.
End Zone Collectibles.
Near End Zone Collectibles, who has been our generous host. We love these people. They're awesome sauce. And so now do we have names?
Yes, Jeff Perazzo,
Uh-huh.
who and Kevin Duhaney. I'm
Okay.
sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. They were both Power Rangers from the Dino Thunder series. And if I kind of butchered the name, I know Ray will tell me how
Yes,
to really
Ray will
pronounce
definitely
it.
correct you on that one. And
It's the White Ranger and the Blue Ranger.
nice. And I
They
know the
will
White
appear
Ranger's
both
kind of a
days.
big deal.
Yes. And you can get their autographs and photo ops. And if you go to our Facebook page, they'll have the information on what time they're going to appear and what their prices are for their autographs, selfies, and professional photo ops, which are going to be taken by Creative Moments Photography.
Okay.
Photography. Yeah, it's photography.
Photography, photography.
Photography. I'm starting a
Photography.
new word, photography. It's
Yeah.
kind of like...
I have a variety of
It's very
professional
steampunk.
photographers who are friends of mine. Yes, there we go. And
Thank you, Dolly. I am
Yes.
still not awake yet this
the
morning.
Sanatorium for the Morose or whatever. Okay, moving on. Moving on.
Sherry's getting ready to come through my phone and smack us.
Hey, at least she's coming after you this time. That was not me on that one. All right, Everyday
didn't say it.
Hero. I'm going to go on now. Everyday Hero. We don't have one this week, but not all heroes wear capes. If you know a police officer, a firefighter, an EMT, paramedic, nurse, current or former military person who is your personal hero, send us a message telling us all about them, and we will give that person a shout out on the air at Sherry, and that's spelled Cherie, because Sherry has to be different, at FC3Rock, FC3ROC.org. And that's a thing because we've shifted our emails around right now. So if you have our email addresses and they have a .com, those emails will still kind of sort of get to us.
Somehow.
But switch it to .org at this point. So if you have mine is Chris at FC3Rock.org. Tanya would be Tanya at FC3Rock.org. Dan, so on and so forth. Dolly doesn't have an email yet, do you?
No, I don't.
We got to fix that because you're a department head now.
Yeah.
So, Edwin, you're still screwed. You're out of the loop there. So we're going to take a quick
Edwin
pause.
at yahoo.com.
Yeah, there it goes. Edwin at dolly'shouse.com.
Wow, people still have Hotmail accounts?
It's
Actually, he does.
There's somebody who has actually an AOL account.
My mom.
Yes.
Oh.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to take a quick pause here. And when we come back, we have Sherry introduce us for us, please.
We have Kristen Gudsnuk, the author and illustrator of the comic book Henchgirl.
Nice. So we're going to take a quick pause, and then we're going to get Kristen on the phone, and we're going to have ourselves an interview. So hang with us, and we'll be right back. And we are back in the studio, and this is the voice I plan on using for the rest of the day.
Oh,
No,
that
it's
won't be
not.
irritating at all.
That's not
Wonderful.
that won't be
You're not
irritating at all.
Charming.
You're not running this afternoon, then I guess not.
I think Chris is walking home.
Yeah, there you go. And I
brought his
drove.
own
I
car.
have my own car. I'm still managing to walk home. All right. So Tony has joined us back in the studios. Everybody say hi to Tony. We haven't seen him in a little while.
Hi, Tony.
He is.
Hi, guys.
Our RIT has let him survive long enough to come out and visit with us for a little bit.
I get to come out of my dungeon and after working on homework.
Yeah, there you go. You're what? You're sophomore?
Yeah, sophomore. Technically, I have enough credit hours to be considered a third year, but this is my second year at RIT.
You're not an overachiever in any way, shape, or form, are you?
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, okay. All right. So now we're going to get to business because we have something going on much more interesting than Tony, I'm sorry to say. But
than us.
On the phone with us now is Kristen Gudsnuk. And she is a comic writer, an artist best known for the brilliant Henchgirl, which she took from an online comic all the way to a Dark Horse graphic novel.
Ooh.
That's amazing. That's insane. She is a dog lover who lives in New York City and is an aficionado and enthusiast of comics, anime, TV, movies, books, music, language, and pit bulls. So, without further
Is there
ado,
anything she doesn't like?
I'm telling you, well, probably us after this interview, I'd say.
How could she not like us after this interview?
If Chris uses that voice.
What, this voice right here? All right. Kristen, welcome aboard, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I was going to say, did we scare her off?
I think for a second I had that fear. So, Henchgirl, tell us a little bit more about her, because I will be honest, I'm not as familiar with her as I'd like to be.
Henchgirl is a comic that I kind of broke into comics by just creating this comic series.
Mm-hmm.
I had this random idea about, hey, what would a superhero comic be like if it were told from the perspective of like that random person who's like, holding the bag of cash and like Batman punches in the face or whatever, like the background people. And I was like, yeah, and she could be a girl because I'm a girl.
There you go.
And then I was like, no one's ever done this particular story before, and the name Henchgirl is available. I couldn't believe it, and started working on it. And first I was going to make it be just an 8-page comic,
mm-hmm.
and then I was going to make it a 24-page comic.
And then we see this progression happening here.
Like almost 300 pages.
Oh, boy.
Quite epic. Yeah. But I started out publishing it online as a webcomic. And, yeah, like you said, I just kind of kept trying to strive upwards with it as I kept going with it.
Now, is this your first work in drawing comics, or did you have some other experience before that?
Well, so I'm like totally self-taught as an artist.
Mm-hmm.
So I had done webcomics when I was a teenager. I did a comic series called Misfit Assassins about a bunch of misfit assassins who are like, oh, we're so angsty because we're assassins, and they're like all teenagers. It was pretty bad. And it was like really, really influenced by my love of Naruto at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone had a really tragic backstory.
Okay.
Because that's what they did in Naruto. But so I did that, and then I kind of took a break for a long time. And then when I was in college, I wrote a short story, and I was like, oh, I kind of want to make this into a comic. And so I made some like 30-page comic in college. And then I took a bunch of years off where I didn't think I wanted to do comics. And then I just kind of like that siren song hit me again, and I started working on Henchgirl. But it was my first professional work because I was just making comics for the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't been trying to be a professional comic book artist, although that was always like a dream of mine. I hadn't set that as a goal at that point when I was working on Henchgirl.
And so then it just kind of snowballed, though. How did that progression happen? I mean, you were doing the webcomic, and when did you kind of get that inkling that there was something else going on in the background that you did not anticipate?
I think I started posting it online pretty soon after I started doing it, because I remembered when I did Misfit Assassins,
mm-hmm.
that it kept me going like really regularly. I never wanted to disappoint my like 2 fans, so it would keep me really motivated.
Okay.
So I started doing it as a webcomic, and I just felt like it was getting momentum online, and that gave me some confidence in it. So I started really trying to focus on making the comic as good as I could, including redrawing the first 90 pages.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Which was really, like I said, the self-taught thing. I was really bad when I started drawing it. But so it was just based off of people seeming to be interested intrinsically in, I think it's because the title, Henchgirl. People are like, oh, I know what that's about.
Yeah, it catches your attention right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would do comic conventions and try to network there and stuff. And eventually I met a small publisher called Scout Comics, and they were interested in putting out the single issues of Henchgirl. So they did it in single issues as I was still finishing it up online. And then for the trade, I met someone from Dark Horse, and I was like, I really think this would be a great trade for you guys. And it kind of just all worked out randomly that they were interested in it. And so.
And the rest is history.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is fantastic, though. That's a great story. And now with Dark Horse, the graphic novel, is it furthering the story, or is it a collection of what you've done so far with her?
It's the collection.
Okay.
I wanted to end it at, I left it sort of open-ended so I could pick it up again someday. But I always like the idea of a story ending before you've run out of ideas completely.
Yeah. No, I've heard that.
Yeah,
I'm a writer myself, so I understand that need there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, because it was my first comic, part of me wanted to do a second comic, move on. So that I didn't only have this one comic that I made.
Right. You wanted to be more than just Henchgirl. You have a couple of other characters in mind, a couple of other stories to tell.
Yeah, or it might be just that I had been working on it for so many years that I wanted to do a new story.
Cool.
I don't know.
And is there anything in the works right now that you can share with us?
Yeah. Actually, this summer I have my next graphic novel coming out, which I also wrote and drew. And it's coming out from Graphic Scholastic. It's going to be a middle grade graphic novel called Making Friends. And it's about a girl who has no friends at school, so she inherits a magical sketchbook, and she makes the perfect friend to be her wingman at school.
Oh, that's
but then
cool.
Her friend has an existential crisis because she's like, I'm a fake person.
I can see that. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. That's definitely a really good take on that. That's funny.
Now, a search on Amazon shows me that you've also done work on Strawberry Shortcake. So how do you go from your own independent characters to sort of a well-known legacy character? Who said, who'd be perfect for Strawberry Shortcake? Kristen Gudsnuk.
Yeah, the managing editor at IDW reached out to me, and he said he thought I'd be good for backup stories for Strawberry Shortcake, and I thought it would be a really fun opportunity to try writing not my own stuff, because I hadn't done that before. I was never one of those people who wrote fan fiction, so it was really fun because I got to research, and also it sort of lifted some of the burden of having to come up with everything from scratch. I got to kind of piggyback off of other people's.
What comics did you read growing up? What turned you into a comic book fan?
Oh, you beat me to the punch on that one,
Oh,
Billy.
okay, sorry, Chris.
I know. Come on, shame on
Would you like me to erase it?
Yeah, if you can, we can backtrack. No,
Sure.
go ahead.
Wait, really?
No. Kristen, I'm sorry. Let me warn you. Don't be the first person in the world to take us seriously. Yeah. No, go ahead. We want to hear what your influences were.
Yeah. When I was little, in the 90s, it was really, really hard to come by manga. You could just go to this one store at the mall, and they would have 2 graphic novels. But they had Ranma 1/2 and Inuyasha and stuff. And I would read all the manga by Rumiko Takahashi, and I was really, really obsessed with her, and I still am. Her stuff was always so funny, and the art is so perfect, and yet kind of simple. Like, it's easy on the eyes, but it's so well drawn. And I just loved her sense of humor. I would have like 4 books of hers, and I would just read them over and over again until the point where I have them like memorized. It was really lame, but so for me, I was a big manga fan growing up, and I didn't start reading comics that were made by Americans or Europeans until I was like in my early 20s, I'd say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Right.
But once I did, I got really into like Scott Pilgrim. I think you can see that from my art style. It looks very Brian Lee O'Malley-ish.
Right.
And like, you know, all of Alan Moore's stuff, it's like kind of transcends comics and is its own sort of thing, but he's obviously really amazing.
Are you collecting or reading anything in particular right now?
I just read a graphic novel called My Friend Dahmer about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Oh, wow.
I heard of that, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds really interesting.
You should really read it, because the guy who wrote it, he went to school with Jeffrey Dahmer, and he even made a Jeffrey Dahmer fan club.
Wow.
In school, like, and it's about kind of his and his friends' memories of like that time period, interspersed with some information about his
Did they base a recent movie on that book, or was it just coincidence?
I think they did, but I don't know how much of it they took from the book, because I saw the trailer and it looks very made for TV-ish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those. Well, we won't call it a Hallmark special. That might be a little off base.
Sci-fi special.
Sci-fi special. There we go.
AMC.
AMC. No.
That's for Walking
Lifetime
Dead.
Original Movie?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Oh, Lifetime Original
Lifetime,
Movie.
there
you go.
My friend
special
Jeffrey.
episode of Blossom.
That's it. That's it. There, we found it. Sherry, you got anything? Because I know you always have questions.
Oh, that's always full of questions. But first, I just want to say, Kristen, all of your comments about your early manga reading, I've got a young lady at the end of over here who is just vibrating with excitement because she agrees with you 100%.
Let me guess, she's bouncing up and down.
Oh, I know. My God. If Alana does anything, we could probably like hook electrodes up to her and power a small city.
Probably.
Her enthusiasm levels are just, I cherish those.
We need to bottle that.
Seriously. Absolutely.
I can hear her giggling.
Yeah. All right. So Henchgirl, onward and forward. And you've got your manga background, and you've got some stuff in the works.
Weren't we opening it for Sherry to have some questions? And
did Sherry have questions?
No, first she was starting a comment, and then you cut her off.
And then I cut her off? Did I do that? I'm going to shut up now. Go ahead, Sherry. I'm sorry. Like I said, Kristen, like I said in the introduction, we're not professionals. So.
Back to Sherry.
See, this is why I like being in the studio, because it's a lot harder for you to ignore me.
Yes, dear.
Okay, Kristen, I did have a question for you, and I just the one, because I'm really interested in this. I mean, most comic books that we read they're about heroes. You get the occasional anti-hero, but what I really like about Mariposa is there's something. There's not something. She's very gray. She doesn't have clear motivations for things, and she just kind of like seems to fall into things. And I was just wondering, what about that concept interested you enough to do this amazing comic about her?
Oh, thank you. I think I've always just been really interested in like the sort of bad people having good in them, good people having bad in them, everyone kind of having like a choice between like morality and like immorality. I don't know. It's just something that always occupies my mind, probably because I like was raised in like a Catholic household, so there's a lot of like that Catholic guilt about being a bad person going around.
I've noticed that Catholicism has been really good at being an inspiration for manga and darker comic books and things like that.
Yeah,
I knew exactly
something about
where you're
being
coming
told
from.
that you're terrible and
definitely,
going to hell
definitely.
really does that for you.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I don't know. I just I think my favorite things that I've read in the past have been things that make me like question what I consider to be a good person or like an okay person. Like, you know, the point at which you stop being on someone's side. I find that really interesting, like Breaking Bad and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm that's just something themes I'm interested in.
And it's a great angle for stories, I think, because those are you know, we're so used to the pigeonholed characters. All right, this is the good guy, this is the bad guy. Does the bad guy have a motivation? Does he need one? No, we can move on past that. But no, it gives you a chance to kind of look into, you know, the way people think sometimes.
Hanging out in the gray area.
Yeah, hang out in the gray area, and you know, sometimes the bad guys aren't always bad, and sometimes the good guys aren't always good. So it's always a great way to look at it. Sherry, what else you got?
That's all I have.
Okay.
I'm just looking at my peanut gallery here.
No, I've just been enjoying listening. So,
all right.
I have a question for you.
Go ahead, Tanya, and then I've got a couple.
Which comic book characters right now would you take and kind of change their story or adapt a little bit to kind of fit what your vision of people are?
Was that an interview question, or are you trying to psychoanalyze the poor girl?
No, it's just not psychoanalyzed, but you know, like she's doing like that coming of age gray type thing. So like, if she was going to take any of the characters and kind of put them in the same thing as Henchgirl, which ones would she do and change?
Kristen, a little warning: Tanya is actually a school teacher, so you know you got to expect this sort of like she's going to make you go in directions you weren't anticipating.
Yeah, you too.
No, I like the question. Do you mean like, how would I change an established popular culture character in order to fit my own?
Yeah, because like I mean, the TV show Gotham is coming up with the whole story of Batman and Bruce Wayne and things like that.
Oh yeah, like their own version, like Flashpoint, and how like the different Barry Allens that are out there. That, like we have the one thought, and then someone else changes it and does it something completely different. You're like, wait, no, it's not.
Yeah, so, you know, you're going to have the fanboys are going to be like, oh, he would never do that. But you know, we want to,
but truly,
take a stretch the story.
Like in regards to Flash, there's like 15 million different Earths. So
you should have seen the Facebook outrage when they didn't immediately give Mon-El a red and blue costume on Supergirl.
Oh, dear Lord.
You would have thought the president had been shot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm curious about that.
Okay, well, I think generally the stuff that I like usually subverts some sort of a stereotype. So, like, if it's like a male character, I might be more interested in like him not being masculine or something like that. You know, like sort of just that kind of thing. But you know, I can think of something off the top of my head. It's not a comic, but you know the movie Enchanted?
Yes.
That movie it bothered me so much because I'm like obsessed with the first half, but I hate like the messaging of it because I don't know if you know it, but it's like a Disney princess comes to life and she like ends up in New York City and she
wants to sing everywhere
that make animals do her bidding and like she's like freaking awesome. And then she falls in love with this guy and she's like, I'm just going to be a normal lady now. And it was like the worst movie. And I was like, if I could rewrite Enchanted, she would use her like singing power to like become like a pop star and like take over the world and make animals do her bidding. Like she would do it on a massive scale. It's such an interesting concept in that movie. And I didn't like how she got rid of the thing that made her special in order to be with her man in the end. So
well, they're making an Enchanted 2.
Are they really?
Yes.
Huh.
What?
Yes, and Patrick Dempsey's character is always telling her not to sing. No singing, no singing. This is not the time to sing. That I've seen in the trailer. But yes, they are making an Enchanted 2.
Enchanted 2? Oh,
yes,
but I want it to have that plot where she like uses her singing like.
Well, hopefully she'll get tired of him in this one.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe she'll do a rousing rendition of "Let It Go."
Let him go.
So in the movie, she starts out and she has like 5 songs, and then in the end, she's just like, I don't think singing is that important anymore. I want to be a real person. But it's like real people sing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I sing all day.
I know.
Ask my boyfriend.
I know. Just because I can't sing doesn't mean I won't sing.
Exactly.
That's my motto.
That's our motto right there.
I don't know. What's the motto with you?
I don't know. Oh, you got on. She got me with that one. Oh, wow.
Tanya's on a roll today.
She is. She must be feeling butter. Anyway. Oh,
now, what's your process when you're sitting down to draw or write? Is there music or TV or movies that you have on in the background? Like, I've heard different artists answer everything from complete silence to thrash metal. So what's your sort of getting ready to draw or having a background noise or whatever?
Well, for me, for writing, it's really, I have to be like super concentrated. So I can't have anything with lyrics when I'm writing because the words will like kind of interfere unless I'm listening to like the same song over and over again. Like, but I usually for writing, I start out writing the things like plot points onto index cards until I kind of have thought of all the things that I might want to happen, and then I try to put them in order and make them into a good outline so that I don't forget to... That way I don't go on tangents when I go to write it, because once I finish a scene, I'm like, okay, what's the next index card? Otherwise, I'll just kind of do some sort of like, I don't know. It's hard to edit myself down sometimes.
Sounds like our podcast.
Exactly.
I think you would fit in very well with this team.
We're just going to bring her right into our tribe.
Yeah, seriously. That's it. You're part of the family now.
But for drawing and stuff, I don't really like having the TV on for any of it because I find it distracting. And also my work setup is in such a way that it hurts my neck to look at the TV from where I sit when I draw. But I always have these like playlists that I make for like drawing and stuff, where I have special music that goes with a certain scene, and I'll just like listen to the same song over and over again because it gets me into like the headspace of that scene,
that moment.
Like if I have like so like if I'm doing something that like I don't know, is like magical feeling, I'll like listen to a magical sounding song, or if it's a sad scene, I'll listen to a sad song.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. It just like gets me in the zone like really easily to do that. And also it's a good excuse to like listen to my favorite songs on repeat.
Yeah, I have two kids, and whenever I'm writing what they know, because they'll come upstairs to where I'm working and they'll hear the playlist, and my son will be like, oh, never mind. And he starts walking away.
I've got one.
Go ahead, Tony.
So there's a lot of like YouTube animators and people who do comics on YouTube. Have you ever thought about doing stuff like that, or what is your opinion on people who do stuff like that?
I don't really know a lot about it, but mainly I don't. Like I said, I'm self-taught, so a lot of like the technical things I just don't know how to do. For instance, animation. I still don't know how to.
So yeah, it's a lot more challenging, I would assume.
I think it's challenging, and it takes way more time. Versus comics, you just draw the thing once, and everyone kind of gets what you mean, and then they go on to the next picture. And there's nothing lost in translation there, really. So, but I think that sounds cool, and seems like a good way to promote yourself. But I would have to figure it out myself. I try to focus on making sure that I spend most of my time creating rather than doing social media. I don't know what the right thing to do is, but I think my deadlines always feel more urgent than like, oh, let's Instagram something.
Well, it's working for you so far. Yeah. Let me ask you this: Have you, as you've started this career and you've got Henchgirl working, and you've been doing the online webcomic, you've been working towards Dark Horse, all the stuff, and getting everything all moving in that. Have you found a lot of barriers in your way? Have you found obstacles that you've just been like, oh wow, I really, there's a lot to this to make this happen?
I always break things down into really small tasks.
Mm-hmm.
So I try not to think about the big picture when I'm like, because I think the biggest barrier is just the amount of work it takes to make a comic, you know? It's just a huge amount of work. Beyond that, all you can do is hope that people like it, because that's the big part that you have control over is the actual making of the comic, because you can't control how people, well, I guess you can control how people react by making it really good. But I don't know. It's like that's the main thing to focus on. And I think that if people break it down into steps that are so small that they feel like they've accomplished something, even if it's just a drop in the bucket in the big picture, I think that's the main thing to, I don't know. I haven't really had, I can't think of any huge roadblocks I've had other than like my computer crashed. Like
that would be a big roadblock right there.
That has made me cry on several occasions.
Happened to me once where my computer, the charging part, this is probably very boring for people to hear, but the charging part wouldn't work, and I had to send it back, and then they lost it in the mail.
Oh, no.
Oh.
They lost your computer.
And they sent me a brand new one, but I lost a bunch of files, and it was terrible.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
And that wasn't even the first time that happened. It was like the third time that the charging jack broke, because something about this particular company's Cintiq tablet was like, it just like had some sort of a factory problem. But yeah, it was terrible. And so, I lost like I couldn't do any of my digital work for like a month and a half. So that was a huge obstacle.
Yikes.
But I just tried to, I was just like, okay, you have to focus on the things you can do and just do all of those and just get behind on the digital part and to focus on the traditional art part.
Now, I have one more question for you, and I think Tanya's got something. Tanya, go ahead. You go ahead.
Stop putting me on the spot. Thanks, Sherry.
Go ahead, Tanya. Tanya, we're all looking at you, Tanya.
Now all eyes are on Tanya.
Stop it.
Podcast audience, look at Tanya.
Everyone stare.
She's tilting her head.
Like I mentioned, Kristen, we're not professionals.
Mighty Monkey Productions is filmed in front of a live studio ostrich.
I hate being put on the spot. You know that. I hate it.
Yes, which is why I keep doing it, so that you get used to it.
Sure.
Yes, I am.
No, Sherry had mentioned that you've done a couple of Comic-Con shows, and that's where Sherry was able to meet you. What is your travel schedule like? Do you go to many cons or not?
It kind of depends. The first year I did comics, I did like every show I could find in my area. But then I kind of, once I was kind of getting more accustomed to the way the industry works and stuff, I kind of figured out which shows I liked, which ones like fit my vibe more and my budget. So for traveling and stuff, I usually just go to C2E2 and Emerald City Comic-Con, mainly because those are both really big shows, and I have people in the area who I can stay with. But then anything on the East Coast, I usually at least try. I like doing conventions. Like I said, that's how I made any and every like networking connection that I did. Was the first time was at New York Comic Con my first year. This is actually really crazy. I was still working at my old day job. I got a table based off of my boyfriend finding someone on Facebook who said, I need someone to share a table with me at New York Comic Con last minute. And he like forwarded it to me, and I was like, oh, me. And that's how I got in, because it's really hard to get into New York Comic Con, especially in my case. I didn't have anything published at that point. And then when I was there that first year, I got a book deal with Little Brown to illustrate this middle grade series called VIP. And that was enough to make me able to quit my old day job. So it was very much like a cause and effect thing from the networking.
Well, that's cool. Now, I didn't know if you knew, but we are the purveyors of the Flower City Comic-Con in Rochester, New York.
Yes.
And we were wondering if you would be willing to travel up to hopefully sunny Rochester in June.
Well, it's going to be in June, so anything is likely. It could snow. Who knows?
It's construction season.
It's New York State. It's New York State.
Remember,
Anything's
we have
possible.
winter or construction, so it would be construction season. But
sometimes they happen at the same time.
Yes.
So
I would love to.
So it is June 9th and 10th, and we would love to have you in. And I think your Henchgirl would fit in great with.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What we do.
We got a lot of folks up here, and we're going to have. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but Diane Lito is going to be on Artist Alley this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, cool!
So.
Wow.
But we can have that conversation off the
but
air.
We're
when
doing
you get a chance.
our formal invite.
Yeah, absolutely. We'd love to have you on board.
I'll be there. I
Good
live
deal.
in New York after all. It's not that inconvenient.
There you go.
New York
See?
is gigantic, but whatever.
Yeah, when I was all throughout college, even though we were in New York while I was in college, people are like, "Oh, you're in New York. Do you live near the city? Do you go to Broadway a lot?" I'm like, "It's 8 hours away, dude."
They're like, "What?
There's
New
a
York's
whole
that
state
big?
between us and them.
Yes.
All right.
Mostly woods.
I got one more question for you, and then I'm going to let you off the hook at this point, Kristen. And that is my curiosity is this. Is there a dream project, something that you've just been wanting to do or would you love to be a part of, and you just haven't had that opportunity yet?
Well, it's obvious. You just asked her Flower City Comic-Con.
Well, there's that.
Yeah, that was it.
That was it right there.
It's only a taste of New York Comic-Con.
I mean, my favorite thing, I think, is to make my own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, it feels very satisfying because on the one hand, I'm like, I drew it. And then on the other hand, I'm like, it's also an expression of, my, I don't know, everything inside my head. So that's, the most fun thing ever. But I guess if I could do, a one-shot X-Men issue where I could do anything I wanted, that's I would want to have complete creative control and just be able to do one story that has nothing to do with whatever else they're doing in X-Men at the time. I would just want to do an X-Men one shot and just do a really awesome contained short story for that.
That's phenomenal. It's cool. I didn't see that one coming. That's awesome.
Well, I love superpowers, especially weird ones.
Are there particular
basically?
Are there particular X-Men you would use for your one shot? Any particular one you would lean towards?
I don't know. I'd probably make up my own X-Men, but I also love so many of the X-Men characters.
Mm-hmm. There's so many to choose from.
Cyclops and
Are you a Jubilee fan by any chance?
I love Jubilee.
I'm looking at. I'm guessing that you probably had drawn Jubilee at one time, maybe.
Yeah, I did a print of her.
Okay,
but
is that what you're looking at, Tanya?
I think
Emma
so.
Frost.
Emma Frost.
It's my favorite X-Men female character.
Oh, because she's just so straight up badass. That's the thing, and she fits into that kind of way you were looking at it because you like that ambiguity. You can go either way, and she definitely suits that character.
Yeah, but she's hilarious, and she's a very specific type of person, and she's morally ambiguous as well. I don't know. She's my gal.
Awesome.
Hey, Chris, I see that she's done Invincible Iron Man also.
Ooh.
That would be one of your favorites.
I'm a big Iron Man fan. Iron Man and Spider-Man, my two guys. But okay, we can babble about that for hours, and we will do that at the convention. But Kristen, we're going to wrap up at this point. I wanted to say thank you. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today and sharing Henchgirl with us. Is there an easy way to find a website or a particular place to go to?
Well, I think the best place to find out stuff about me and my work is probably Twitter or Instagram. My handle there is Henchgirl_comic.
Okay. I think I found you on Twitter while we were chatting, so hopefully I followed the right account. When it comes to social media, I have people to do that for me because I'm so inept at it.
Someone has to teach me how to Twitter.
Yeah, there you go. But all right.
My sister took Kay Gudsnuk. My sister took Kay Gudsnuk because she's Catherine and I'm Kristen. And so people are always tagging her and stuff. And I'm like,
that's not her
Twitter handle already.
All right, so it's not K Gudsnuk. That it's Henchgirl _ comic.
Yep.
Yeah,
on
you
Twitter.
can follow both of us. My
Okay.
sister would appreciate it.
There you go. We can follow her. That's it. We're gonna have the FC3 account follow Catherine.
Okay.
And then we'll just start tagging her and everything for Kristen.
Tell
it.
Kristen
She
this.
loves that.
Yes. Can you tell Kristen that we're looking forward to seeing her in June? That'll be great. All right. So for Edwin and for Dolly and for Tony and for Sherry and Tanya and Billy and myself, I am Chris. This has been Kristen, and we appreciate your time with us today. This has been Monkey Business, and we are the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic Con. Coming at you June 9th and 10th of 2018 at the Floriano Rochester Riverside Convention Center. Love us on Facebook, www.facebook.com/FC3ROC.
It's like you have it committed to memory.
Oh, it's like have said it like 55
He needs to be
times.
committed.
I need to be committed. That's the thing. Definitely need to be committed.